Hey guys, this is Bharadwaj with Fonearena.com and this is the Oppo Find 7a that I have in my hands here. This is Oppo's latest flagship phone variant with the 1080p screen. That's because it's the international variant and the Chinese variant will have the 2K display. This is almost exactly the same as the Find 7 except for the fact that there is no 4K display. So that's the Find 7a and it packs a 13 megapixel XMOR RS sensor that you have seen in a lot of Oppo devices since the Find 5. Yes, Oppo has been using a very similar set of sensor and lenses, but they have improved the lenses. Here it's almost exactly the same as the Oppo N1, which has a 6-element lens, but Oppo has this time taken advantage of the complete hardware power that's given by Snapdragon 801 that the Oppo is powered by. So in this video, I'm going to tell you all about the Oppo Find 7a's camera and give you a verdict of how it is overall. So let's find out in the Oppo Find 7a camera review. Let's start with the technical specifications of the Oppo Find 7a. You have a 13 megapixel Sony XMOR RS sensor. It's of the 1x3 inch type and has a 6-element lens with aperture of f2.0. So yeah, this is exactly the same as the one that we saw on the Oppo N1 and it's a really good camera, we'd say. So let's find out how it is. Let's start with the interface, but before that you can see that there's a secondary microphone for stereo recording and there is a dual LED flash. So let's move on to the interface. That's the camera app. The camera app is a bit different from before. The interface has very slightly changed from the Oppo Find 5 and as well as the Oppo N1. So let's go through the interface. Over at the right you have the buttons, shutter buttons for the camera, the video trigger. You have the mode selection thing here, which will let you select all the modes. There are a lot of modes and we'll go through them one by one. And then you have the settings, the front facing camera. The front facing camera is actually pretty good. You can see that it's a bit sharpened, but it is good for taking selfies. Now these are the settings. These are also pretty detailed, but there are not many. But as a compensation you have a lot of modes. So let's go through the modes here. Right now I will select the normal mode. That's the normal mode, and hitting on the 3 dots will take you to the different modes. Normal is there, HDR is the usual. This is a hardware based and it's been the same since Find 5. HDR photos are really good on Oppo cameras and the Find 7a is no exception. You have Panorama, you have Beautify, and there is slow shutter. Slow shutter will let you take light trails up to 8 seconds. So this is one of the very few phones in the world that will let you take 8 seconds of a photo of shutter speed on a mobile phone camera. This is very good. And then we have the super zoom. So this is something very interesting from Oppo. Super zoom is actually when the Oppo Find 7a takes a 50 megapixel photo. That's actually pretty huge. And how it works is that it combines 4 13 megapixel photos to improve the details through a very different algorithm. We are not sure exactly what it is, but it is a different algorithm that they use. It takes a burst of 10 pictures and then puts together and stitches together a 50 megapixel photo. I'm going to show you the difference here. This is the normal one I'm going to take. That's the normal photo and that's the super zoom photo. It takes a bit of time to take all the photos and do all the combining and stuff. It takes some processing time, but once you go in, you can see that there is a bit of difference in terms of details. So this is the normal photo. As you can see, the details are pretty noisy. And unfortunately this is not in focus, so let's do it again in focus. Yeah, that's in focus. That's the 50 MP shot. And then we'll move on to the normal mode, focus again and take a shot. So the shot to shot speed is actually pretty good. So this is the normal shot. As you can see, the colors are pretty accurate. The indoor setting is pretty awesome. on this camera. It's a very capable unit, but this is the super zoom, which has better colors. This is almost exactly lifelike. As you can see, the colors over there is exactly the same, and you can see the details are pretty sharp even at the 50 MP resolution. This is something you can use to blow the photo up to some insane levels. I'll show you the details here, which will show you the resolution, which is 8160 by 6120, while the normal photo, which has a resolution of 4160 by 3120. So you can see that the file size is 1.75 MB here, and more than 8 MB in the 50 MP photo. So that's how good it is. We initially thought it was a gimmick. It is in some ways a gimmick because it uses software and multiple photos to do that interpolation. But in the end, you have a very realistic, accurate depiction of a photo. So we would suggest, if you can keep the camera stable for a long time, then go for the super zoom. If you want to blow up the photo to a poster or something, it will look really, really good. So that's the super zoom feature on the Oppo Find 7a that they have been talking a lot about, and we think it's pretty good. Audio photo is very similar to what you saw on the Samsung Galaxy S4. It takes audio, the ambient noise and the audio when you take a photo, and saves it in a JPG, which is good for sharing. And then we have the GIF animation. The GIF animation is pretty simple. It just takes GIFs, and that's about it. Looping GIFs, and that's it. So that's the camera interface of the Oppo Find 7a. So what about the camera performance? We again, as usual, took a lot of shots in several conditions, and this is how it turned out in daylight. Here, take a look at some daylight samples. So as you saw from the samples, some of the samples were actually pretty good in terms of daylight performance. This is one sample that we really like. It has very good details and perfectly accurate representation of the scene, and the details are pretty good. So that was the performance in daylight, but of course we tried macro shots too to test out the bokeh and of course the details. So take a look at some of these macro samples that we took. So as you saw, again, the macro samples are pretty good, but the bokeh is kind of over sharpened, not the exact smooth ones that we would like. It's kind of over sharpened, and yeah, that's the only complaint about it. Otherwise, it's pretty good. And overall color reproduction, as expected, as you would have seen with the Oppo N1 and the Oppo Find 5, it's very, very good. So that's the Oppo Find 7a's performance in daylight and macro. The HDR obviously is very good. This is a hardware based, which has been there from the Find 5 times, and HDR mode takes a photo very fast. In fact, it doesn't take much time. As you can see, this is the HDR mode. You can see the difference in the viewfinder itself, and it takes the photos really, really fast. So that's one good thing about the HDR mode on the Oppo Find 7a. So there you go. That's the overall daylight performance. Pretty nice. You saw the samples, and you'll know that it's very similar to what we saw on the N1. Now moving on to low light, as expected, we did see some pitfalls in low light. As you know, it's pretty hard to see how it works. So this is a low light shot that we had focused on the dark part. So there is a little bit of overblown highlights there. But we think it's a pretty accurate representation. But this photo, when we took it just like that, without any pointed exposure, it produced more darker shadows and a better photo. But again, not the best we have seen. And definitely low light is very much the same as what we had seen on the N1. So pretty similar performance. But again, the difference it makes is in processing power. It takes really fast. The photos are taken really fast, and then as you saw, the HDR is spectacularly fast, and also very detailed images. So let's move on to video, where the Oppo's Find 7a has a little bit more up its sleeve. So in the video mode, you can see that it can take HDR video, which is actually not so good. And then you have 1080p video, 720p video, and also slow motion, and of course 4K, because this is based on the Snapdragon 801. The 4K sample was actually pretty decent, but again, video is not exactly a strong point for the Oppo Find 7a camera, as we have seen better output from other phones. So overall, the Find 7a camera is pretty good for what it offers. It has all the options that you would expect. It has pretty good modes like super zoom, and you also have the slow shutter, with which you can use you can take light trails. And of course, the video mode is pretty good in 4K. Pretty decent overall, the color reproduction, overall details and all that. But we still think the 13 megapixel sensor is current technology, not future technology. And Oppo can use better sensors, and bigger sensors are available out there already. 20.7 megapixel 1 by 2.3 and 1 by 2.3 16 megapixel omnivision sensors are out there in the market right now. So in that sense, if you're looking for the bleeding edge technology, you will not get it, but you'll still get good enough performance. So that's the Oppo Find 7a's camera, and that's our verdict. It's pretty good. You won't get spectacular photos, but it is very, very good. You don't have to worry about the quality of the photos you take on the Oppo Find 7a, but of course, low light is as bad as every other camera out there on the market. Nothing does low light the best. So that's it for the video. Do hit the like button if you like this video, and do hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like these, and do let us know the feedback in the comment section below. Thanks for watching.